subsidy removal, the federal government are looking into 8 weeks. 8 weeks in order to see how they will conclude on issues of palliative, how they will provide necessary things that will cushion the effect of subsidy removal. This is Nigeria Now on Equa Television International, and I hope you are with us today as we discuss so many things that is really an issue to the country, like human interests, And then I have Joyce Jakarta, the studio.
As
like
always.
Yeah.
Pleasant afternoon to you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to our viewers out there.
Yes. Just do well to connect with us on Facebook and YouTube as we do the discussion together. I will promise you time to time we'll be looking into your comments and then bringing them up, not all, so that people will know these are people that are following and this is their angles when it comes to what we are discussing here. Joyce, 8 weeks. I thought from the time of discussion, the first meeting with the Labour and then the TUC, that they agreed that on the 19th they are coming to sit on table. I thought they went for research. When they come, they will just talk and then they will just hit the ball running. After their discussion yesterday, we are seeing another 8 weeks, and people are not really finding it easy. And it's not that there is something that is coming for workers, to aid them when it comes to issue of transportation. The prices, of goods in the market, everything is up. And then the same salary, probably the same income, and some, maybe we'll say because of this, the income drops because the nature of how the subsidy removal affects some sectors, And then now we are talking 8 weeks. In 8 weeks, we are talking over 130 million Nigerians that are living in poverty line. So I can't put 1 and 2 and then understand the logic.
We started a conversation on Sambu Solomon yesterday, and like I said, I'll still repeat myself. The conversation right now is not about the removal of the subsidy, because this is what a lot of Nigerians have clamored for, because money kept going into the hands of few individuals at the detriment of the functioning of other sector in the country. We saw how that about 16 trillion naira cannot even be accounted for. The humongous amount of money that some few individuals kept diverting in the name of fuel subsidy, fuel that is supposed to be subsidized for Nigerians. Other West African countries have been benefiting. We saw how that in other countries, some of the tricycle riders were protesting because Nigeria actually removed subsidy, and they were threatening to even hike price of their own transportation and all of that. This goes a long way to show you the kind of corrupt practices that have been going on in that industry or in that sector. Again, the problem is about cushioning the effect. Just after the announcement, we saw how that assessing the petrol became difficult. We saw how prices hiked depending on the region, because we saw the price given by NNPC, and that is in line with, it's just in accordance to where the distance between the states, and then all of that, from 488 to even 750 and all of that. People asked a lot of questions. How do we cope with this? Transportation fare have increased. If you see the removal of fuel subsidy, due to that, people buy petrol at even, and not just 100% increment, but about 200% increment. And then Nigerians have come out to say, how do you want us to cope with this? We are talking about bringing out this 133, even though it's not all, but reducing this number of the 133 million people living in poverty, like bringing that number to the minimum. But yet, things like this, without bringing proper measures or without proper methodologies that will cushion this effect, we throw more people into the poverty range. So we saw how that Labour threatened to go on nationwide strike. But after meeting with the federal government, that strike was actually suspended because federal government opened its arms to meet with the Labour Congress. And then they met. After that, we were hoping that something good was going to come out from it. But it ended in deadlock. There wasn't agreement here because Labour went there with some demands. And federal government promised to look actually into the demand But even though we know that they had already gone ahead with the removal of the subsidy, even before the time that Nigerians were actually expecting, because in the 2022 budget, we saw how that the first subsidy covered from January to June, and people kept asking questions. So what happened 1 month? We saw NNPC came out to say, oh, Nigeria is owing us a amount of money, how many billions, like over 20 billions and all of that. People were asking questions about that. And so we saw how that federal government called meeting, the NEC agreed to come up with measures to cushion the effect, even though mostly the conversation is about civil servants. But beyond that, some Nigerians have said, we also bought transport, we also do business and all of that. Right now, as we speak, prices of goods have increased. And then they tell you, oh, first of they have been removed, we have to transport all of these goods, and that is why they implement. So how can we push on the effect on Nigerians? That is the conversation. So we saw how that the labor union met again yesterday, and this is to look into some of the demands that were brought in by NLC, even TUC. Recall that TUC talked about the fact that can we increase the minimum wage to 200,000 naira? And then I was wondering to myself, the 30,000 minimum wage, there are states that even yet to implement it, 200,000 naira minimum wage. Will that cushion the effect? Another question. Is it going to help? So we are looking out for long-term measures beyond just the short-term and mid-term. How can this be actually implemented? And after the meeting yesterday, we saw how that the representative of the federal government came out to say that, oh, Labour has submitted their demands, and then we're looking how we can implement it, those that are going for short-term, those that are going for mid-term, and those that are long-term, how that we can separate all of these demands and see how we can meet them. But looking at the demands as well, representative of NLC also talked about the fact that some of these demands are suggested by the federal government, reduction of CNG and all of that, cannot just be implemented by mere meetings and agreements. Some subcommittees have to be set to look at some of these things. And one of the subcommittee is the technical committee, and they are to look into the CNG. There's also another committee that are to look into the issue of minimum wage. So NLC are saying that they have 8 weeks. Federal government, they have agreed that within 8 weeks, a steering committee already has been formed to collect all the reports that will come out from the 5 subcommittees that they have created. And this is not until 8 weeks after before all the reports will come. But in the next 1 week, a particular subcommittee will submit a report. In 2 weeks, another one will submit. So as the reports come, they keep looking at the ways, like how visible are all of these, because they have to go and sit down and look at, oh, if we are to apply CNG, how many cars, how many these, how would other states benefit, and all of that. So all these reports are going to be submitted to the steering committee, after which they are going to conclude on whatever they have agreed on. But of course, like you said, 8 weeks is another long week. Nigerians are saying, like, we've had a lot of, oh, we are going to do this, maybe 23 billion naira or 25 billion naira is going to be given to workers monthly so that it can help push on the effect. We're going to borrow about 800 billion naira to push on. Maybe should we share some transport means like buses and all of that, so that a lot of conversation are going on. Oh, can we share 5,000 naira to the poorest of the poor people? How do you identify them? In the past, we've had a lot of schemes that are targeted at the poor. At the end of the day, it's the well-to-do that enjoy from it. Scholarship programs, you will see that it's just to help the poor of the poorest, or the average Nigerian that cannot afford education. But at the end of the day, who benefit from it? Top officials, people that can still afford the education, are the one that will still send their children to scholarship program and all of that. So beyond the talk, we want to see actions. I think Nigerians now are getting tired of talk. Like, let's see it in practical times. That is what Nigerians are bothered about. Somebody that is finding it hard to feed, somebody that is finding it hard to go out and do like things that way. Some people go out to do business and they come back without even gaining anything. So let's see all of these talks in practical terms, beyond the we'll do. 8 weeks is a long time. We hope that they fasten the process, and at the end of the day, it becomes fruitful. Not that at the end of the 8 weeks again, we'll still hear that another meeting will be convened and all of that.
I feel the federal government should do our own part, because we saw how the order came from the court, stopping Labour Party from going on that Labour Congress from going for that nationwide strike, which we feel that yes, the federal government uh, are agreeing with the fact that if Labour Congress definitely go on strike, everything, concerning the economy of this country will be crumble for that period of time. And them recognizing that, I think it is very important for them to know that they should speed this process, so that at least we'll just come to an agreement that Labour Congress would shield their sword, and then will rule this country, the way it should. Because if we are looking at, covering distance that we have lost, then we don't have time to really waste. And I feel Labour Party are just being understanding, and Labour Congress are just being understanding with the federal government. So I feel this struggle of labor, this struggle of industrial whatever back and forth, we just came out from. I think we are still recovering from the ASU whatever, which is still on, because they are still in court. So we feel these are some of the things that we feel, yeah, this government should just come and say, we don't want to see these things repeating itself. Where did we get it wrong? And it's the same party, taking over. I didn't mean it's a different party. You will say it's the issue of witch hunting or jeopardizing the progress of the previous whatever. So there are things that people complain bitterly about it. So we don't want to see them, dragging into this new transition regime. I think it's very important, but we feel the 2 weeks, 8 weeks for me, I think is far. But let's see. Let's be hopeful, and Nigerians, let's keep being patient. The Nigerians that we are.
Let's keep being optimistic.
Optimistic, yeah. Tinubu retires service chiefs, and then need replacement.
I don't think this should come as a surprise to the retired service chiefs. I'm talking about the likes of Lucky Rabo and all of that, because most times when new governments come in, that's what you expect. They recruit people that they work with. But in terms of the security of Nigerians, this is what a lot of people have clamored for, even before now. They have said, oh, you have appointed all of these people. The key purpose is to ensure that we have security in Nigeria. But every day, day in, day out, the issue of insecurity keeps waxing stronger. So like I asked the question yesterday, are those people greater than the population of Nigeria that for over a decade we keep hearing the same issue but in different forms? Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping, different forms of insurgency and all of that. And then just yesterday, the president actually called for the immediate retirement of all the service chiefs, and then the Inspector General of Police, advisors, Controller General of the Customs, and like amongst others. And then he also called for the immediate appointment of Nuhu Ribadu as the National Security Advisor, Major General Christopher Musa as Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Taoreed as Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Emmanuel as Chief of Naval Staff, and then Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar as Chief of Air Staff. Others are DIG Kayode as Acting IGP, EPA, or Dian DA, Chief of Defense Intelligence, and then Adeniyi Adewale, Acting Controller General of the Customs, among other appointments. And then the likes of Nuhu Ribadu, who is the National Security Advisor. He's the former, he was one-time Commissioner of Police. He's also the former Chairman of the EFCC. That was in 2003. And then 2011, he actually contested for the position of President under the ACN. That's one of the parties that's come together to form the APC. And Christopher Musa, he has masters in military science. Until his appointment, he was the commander of the Joint Task Force of Operation Hardin Kai. And then Major General Taoreed, he has masters in strategic studies. He's a GOC 1 Division of Nigerian Army until his latest appointment. Air Vice Marshal Hassan has masters in international affairs and diplomacy. He belongs to various chartered institutions. He's the chief of standard and operation of the NAF headquarters until his appointment as well. And then the Rear Admiral Emmanuel, Chief of Naval Staff, he served at the Naval Headquarters in policy and planning. And well, all this appointment for some Nigerians, oh, this is timely, this is welcome, this is a great decision that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has actually made, even though some people have shared a lot of concern, but coming from the state, coming from the Secretary General of the Federation, talking about George Akume, he said all of these appointments, of course, are just enacting capacity, yes, until their confirmation as provided by the 1999 Constitution. So Nigerians are hopeful, and for them, for many Nigerians, a good step in the right direction. We don't want to be pessimistic, but in the next few months, as people are throwing congratulatory message and all of that, I was thinking on their behalf that now is the time to strategize, because even amidst the appointments, there are attacks that are being perpetrated cut across different places in different states in Nigeria. So it's a time to strategize. It's a time to be very proactive. This is not time for you to just come out whether after act is being done for you to condemn, but these are times that they will put intelligence to play. Like I said, some people have talked about the fact, oh, why should Nuhu Ribadu be appointed as National Security Advisor, somebody with police background and all of that? Why should a military man be answerable to? This is not the concern. As far as I'm concerned right now, can we keep nepotism aside and focus on, oh, what needs to be done and who can do it? Nuhu Ribadu was EFCC chairman, and he's somebody that you can refer to as bridge builder. He has, looking at his antecedent and his pedigree, he has written his name in like the book of time that a lot of people will say. So beyond, oh, my own zone is not represented, this is not even the first time we're hearing that. During President Muhammadu Buhari, we saw how that almost all the appointment was one-sided. Nigerians complain about it. But at the end of the day, can we see these people being proactive, coming up with strategies, averting, making sure that Nigerians enjoy security and all of that? This is the talk. And so, like I said, all the appointments are in acting capacity until the confirmation in line with the Constitution. But Nigerians will watch and are watching to actually see the directions that these appointees are going to take, if it's going to be in line with all the policies, with all the promises that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has actually assured Nigerians, especially in bringing security to the nation. He has always shown concern to the poor. Oh, can we bring about these programs, these policies that will help elevate the poor? Like I said, most of the challenges we are facing in Nigeria is likened to insecurity. Unless we deal with the issue of security, we cannot go nowhere. Nobody can boast of any infrastructural development when people cannot sleep in their house, when people cannot be returned to their ancestral home, when we are having over 30,000 just in Plateau States in the IDP and all of that. So until we ensure that people can go to bed and sleep with their eyes closed, until we ensure that people can travel from this state to that state with the hope that, oh, we'll get there safe without any thought of, oh, do I have money to actually pay kidnappers and all of that. So there are a lot of expectation. Like I said, the retirement should not come to them as a surprise. It's a new government that you expect that the new government will bring in new people. So we have already started seeing interrogations. The EFCC chairman, former chairman right now, Bawa, is undergoing interrogations. We're seeing Emefiele was removed. So this should not even come as surprise, because in fact, even the appointment of the likes of Nuhu Ribadu, people say, like I said, it is not him coming from a police background should not even be the conversation, because it's in line with international best practice. You get the countries like the USA that will always look up to most of the national security advisors. Their backgrounds are actually police and all of that. But since the return of democracy in Nigeria, we've seen that most of the national security advisor actually comes from the military and all of that. But beyond that, if Nuhu Ribadu is going to actually give out that security advice, come up with strategies that are going to be helpful, then why not? So looking at all these appointees, you will see that they all have good antecedents and pedigrees, even though, like I said, some people will raise questions. We're already seeing people saying, oh, we have been sidelined, not central, and all of that. But if we're going to have people that have the competence, if these people can do, why not let's give them our support and see if they can do it. Like I said, beyond these congratulatory messages, in the next few months, Nigerians are going to be rating all of these people. So why making a policeman NSA should not even be the conversation. Let's look at their intelligent background. Let's look at how the strategies, ideas can be brought to the forefront, and let's see how all hands will be on deck to support them. And we just hope that they do the needful.
Well, you see, normally when appointments are being dished out like this, definitely people would talk, because it's almost like a culture, you know, to us, you know, in Nigeria, that once appointments are being given out, people will start thinking, okay, where is this person? Where is it coming from? Is it from my region? Is it my tribe? You know, and we try to attach appointment with such sentiments, and I think it will not do us good. Like you rightly say, people will say it's coming from a police background, but internal security is solidly the responsibility of police. You know, internal security is external aggression that you see military coming involved. It's because the nature of our security that is so porous that today you are so that the military uniform is so common to even civilians, that a civilian can even challenge a military officer with uniform and even with gun. Before, even for you to just see the uniform without anybody wearing it, there's a kind of respect that you accord to even the uniform. Talk more of somebody wearing it. But now it's just that the whole thing became so common, simply because the story we had on some involvement of some of the military personnel that got involved, that compromise, you know, the standard of their calling, and make the entire architecture to look as if there's something, it's not something to write home about. But we just want to see that honor coming back. We don't want to see that synergy. And I remember when he visited one of the military, one of the security apparatus, when he was telling the boss that you see, the national intelligence, you know, when he made an official visit, you know, he's saying he wants to see that synergy, that sharing of information, that the security architecture of this country, he wants to see synergy, how all of them will come together and then work based on national interest. What is a threat to the country, whether internal or external? We should all come together. We don't want to see police fighting military, killing themselves. It's an eyesore. You know.
Sambo Slomo, I agree totally with you. This is the time where we expect that all the service chiefs, like the new service chiefs, will come together, see how they can synergize and work collectively for the common goal of ensuring that there's security in Nigeria. In the next few days, in the next few months, Nigerians are going to be judging them by the outcome of their work, of what their office actually demands of all of them. While they celebrate, while they accept all the congratulatory messages, this is time for them to start strategizing, like I said earlier on. And for us Nigerians, it's also time for us to give them our own support. It's not time for us to live in division. If we don't work together as one body, then we are going to fall apart. So we have to come together to see how that we can support these people, that at the end of the day will enjoy national security. Like I said, if there is no security, you can't boast of anything. You can't boast of economic growth, you can't boast of agriculture, you can't boast of education or infrastructural development and all of that. When you don't even have peace, what do you want to boast of? So we must come together and work for the collective goal of all Nigerians. And I said, nepotism is not what we should give room for. People are, oh, this zone are not represented and all of that. I think when I first saw the list, what I was checking to see is I hope we have somebody from the north, from the southeast, because this has been the conversation even from the last administration. Oh, the Easterners have been sidelined, they have not been given any strategic position and all of that. Marginalization, all of that issue and all. We don't want that. We want to see inclusivity. We've had the president said, even in his inaugural speech, I'm going to be consulting, I'm going to be doing all of this. He has been taking a lot of decisions that are actually good within the past few weeks, barely 3 weeks and all of that. So Nigerians are hopeful. Nigeria is a great country, and because we are very optimistic that Nigeria is a great country, we want to see that policies, decisions that are being taken is for the common good of all, not just for the interests of few individuals, but for the common good of all Nigerians.
Well, this is a much we can take. Yes, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, viewer, we want to sincerely appreciate you for choosing this program to be one of your best and for staying with Ekwa Television. Please keep believing in us, and we pray that you keep sending those comments so that we too know your angles, on what we are discussing. Let's do this together tomorrow, same station, same time. Thank you so much, and God bless you.